Hi everybody, it's Alex Newton from K-lytics, today with the Kindle market trends for June 2019. So let's have a look. In our Trend Watch, we look at the trends and developments in the Kindle bestseller list. So we focus on ebooks here, and as always there's no need to take notes for the basic category data that we have here. You can retrieve a free copy at klytics.com/free report, or if you're a member, simply go to the members area, the basic tab, and download the basic data there. If you look at the sales performance of the 30 main categories on Kindle, we see that romance, mystery, thriller, suspense, and science fiction lead the way, then followed by non-fiction and teen young adult. Therefore, let's start with having a closer look at the fiction market. Starting with romance, the top 100 bestseller list has shown a very stable performance over the last 18 months. So you have to dig a little deeper if you want to get into specific subgenre trends. Here's an interesting example: romance, mystery, and suspense / mystery. So we have here a romantic mystery. The bestseller list has shown a 52% improvement over the last 12 months. And if you go check out the bestseller list, you see here a lot of titles by players such as Melinda Lee, Kendra Elliott, and also some other authors. Overall, these romantic mysteries, romantic suspense has been doing very well. And if you plot the category on our K-lytics strategy map, you see it's just here at the borderline between what we call hot niche market and hot mainstream. The borderline is around 10,000 titles. So you see here the average sales rank of the category is sky high, with 210 being the average across the top 20 title measured over time, and the category size is just above 10,000 here, 11,938. So it's just gone into what we call the hot mainstream. Still, it's almost like still niche market status, and it's working very well for a whole number of authors there. Another interesting one, paranormal vampire romance. Now, who would have thought that? What makes this so interesting is that the whole, vampire romance fuzz around the movie Twilight is like more than 10 years ago here, if you look at Google Trends. But on Amazon, and especially in the romance category, vampires never die. And there are two key drivers behind the trend. One is the new series by Bella Forrest. I'm actually not sure whether there are so much about vampires going on there in her series, but at least it's positioned in vampire romance, cross-referencing her Shades of Vampire series, where she wrote, I think, 77 books or something. The other driver of the trend is paranormal romance / urban fantasy. Urban fantasy, however, with quite a bit of like teen young adult romance twist to the plot, where you have these vampire hunters, or the female protagonist here in a magic school and hunting vampires at night. And this latter trend is clearly one you may want to check out in our latest genre report, the Urban Fantasy report that we just released. So it's a new edition 2019. You can check it out in the members area. Alright, so much for paranormal vampire romance. And also, if you look at the K-lytics strategy map, it's just also one of these categories that moved from hot niche status into the hot mainstream. Then let's talk about mystery, thriller, suspense. Overall, the bestseller list has suffered a bit over the last 18 months. So also here you have to dig a little deeper to find the nuggets. Overall, it's a very strong genre, but here one example: Assassination Thrillers here over the last 18 months, strong performance, plus 22%. And also if we plot it here over a longer period of time, 4 years, we see a whole number of ups and downs, but trend-wise it's been stably going upwards. So it's a classic mystery, thriller, suspense genre. Have a look at the books that are driving the trend, and in the bestseller list, lots of classics: Daniel Silva, Vince Flynn, and others. L.T. Ryan, to name a few, Alex Cross by James Patterson, and so on and so forth. On the K-lytics strategy map, such a category such as Assassination Thrillers is here right in the middle of the hot niche area. So in other words, not too big a category, in this case just below 4,000 titles, English speaking titles in the category, but the sales rank is sky high with 930 Amazon store wide, Kindle store wide, average across the top 20 measured over time. And this type of performance we see in quite a number of MTS, mystery, thriller, suspense categories. So it's a very good genre, not just for the big publishers, but also for indies to be in there. Let's talk about teen young adult. Let's take a closer look. Teen young adult has seen a downward trend here all the way until, say, beginning 2019, and here lately we've seen an upward swing again, which I think is great news for teen young adult authors. One extremely strong category, teen young adult wizards and witches fantasy. You see here it's in the hot sell area. It's a category with just 1,676 English speaking titles, but the sales rank across the top 20 is 775 in the Amazon Kindle store. So it's almost here going outside of the plottable area here on our map. And the trend is primarily driven by a mix of, again, extremely strong performance of Harry Potter, but then you have the Bella Forest, Harley, Merlin type of books that we already mentioned, and then here all these teen young adult urban fantasy books where we have, say here, things like Spellcraft Academy, Hunted Witch Agency, Rogue Academy. So these are all books that try to emulate a bit this, Hogwarts type of setup, but more geared towards urban fantasy readers, strong female protagonists in the books. So also this one is one trend which led us to update here the urban fantasy report recently, which, however, not only covers the teen young adult aspects of it, but also the more normal adult oriented urban fantasy. If we look at the broader science fiction and fantasy category as a whole, we also see here there has been quite a bit of a very slight, ever so slight downward trend, and trend-wise also here since beginning 2019, it's going back up again, which is good news for sci-fi and fantasy authors. And one particular, driver, although this is, one of many, has been this whole trend around game literature, lit RPG, D&D literature. This is Dungeons and Dragons literature, which comes basically out of nowhere as a category. The whole literature, role-playing game literature, Dungeons and Dragons literature is obviously a very specialized genre. But it's really been trending. We have recently been covering it in our Lit RPG GameLit report here in April 2019. And what many fiction authors haven't even realized is that Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg's the book behind Steven Spielberg's movie adaptation of it, was the most sold fiction book of 2018 on Amazon. It has not officially been marketed as game literature or lit RPG, but its components are 100% game literature, lit RPG, and have really given a push to the whole genre, which, if you look at the development here ever since March 2014, that's when the whole trend started. Our first report 2017, now here we're in 2019. I think the graph speaks for itself. So you see, while the overall genre may have weaker periods, there are always very interesting niche markets to explore, in this case with very strong performance. And if we plot it on our K-lytics strategy map, you see the level of sales here as indicated by the vertical position. The higher up the dot is, the higher the sales. So it's like really high compared to the size of the category. So here the average sales rank across the top 20 title is 4,213 store-wide on the Kindle store, but the size of the category is only 182 titles, so barely any competition in it. All right, so much for the niche market update for this month. A couple of notes on pricing here. Good news overall. Romance ebook prices, you see most recently above the 350 mark, pretty strong. It's been overall trending up. Also, mystery thriller suspense prices very strong here in the top 100, scratching at the $6 mark. And also science fiction fantasy ebook prices. You see here the 18 months development after a pretty weak period towards end of last year. We've seen prices going back up, and it's now here between $5 and $5.50. All right, so much for today. If you like what you see and are not a member yet, come join us at K-lytics.com. That's K-lytics.com. As an elite member, you have unlimited access to all reports and our K-lytics Elite database, where we have the performance data monthly updated for more than 7,000 categories. As a member, make sure you also check out the this month's strategy map, the book strategy map here, the premium edition covering 420 subcategories. Gives you a very quick overview of what has a good ratio of sales versus level of competition these days overall. I hope you enjoyed this brief update. This is Alex Newton from K-lytics, ebook market intelligence for success.